What's going on, gentlemen? This is the Dominance Academy, and I've got a good show lined up for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the 5 things that men do that males do not. There's a lot more, but we're going to hit on 5 important ones. But let's get into that intro.
Welcome to the Dominance Academy, where we specialize in revitalizing manhood and leadership. Our approach focuses on developing men to lead with strength and passion, enriching their lives and their families. We provide practical solutions and expert guidance in the realms of sexual education and the mysteries behind polarity and structured power dynamics. Join us at thedominanceacademy.com and restore harmony to your home while rediscovering the joy of a fulfilling masculine presence. It's time to step into your role as a leader and as a man. And now, the host of the show, Mr. Justin.
All right, and we're back. Man, I love that intro. Like the chick with the awesome tits looking up, and the woman kissing the hand of her man, and then the other woman just relaxing in a very surrendering pose between his knees, and just very relaxed. You know, she didn't look tense at all. Love that imagery. But yeah, we're going to be getting into the some of the things, 5 things that men do that males do not, even though there's a lot more. And actually, the things that men do the list is shorter than the list that males do. Males do a whole lot. They do a fucking lot. But men do quite a bit, but not as much. So we're going to touch on those. Man, I saw the new Deadpool movie. I won't do any spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it, but it's fucking good. It's long. It's like 2 hours long, but it's a good movie. The writing, there was a lot of funny moments, and I don't think there was anything that really dragged on. There was a couple of things that didn't make sense, but you know, it's not that big of a deal. Like simple shit. Like, all right, if there's like an explosion and the shirt gets ripped but the pants don't, right? Like, why does that happen? You know, there's a fire and it's like everything gets destroyed but their pants. It's like, how is that possible? But anyways, I guess we can't be having you know, Wolverine's dick flapping around on the screen. But yeah, overall, fantastic movie. I saw that shit with my son. It was really good. I might even see it again. It was that good. And it's very, very rare that I see movies twice. So that's probably going to be one of them. So, but yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a dope ass movie. And they actually did a pretty good job with Wolverine's costume. A little fun fact for you guys. What's his name? Like the actor who plays Wolverine. Fuck, I'm having a brain fart right now. But he's actually quite tall. He's quite tall. Hugh Jackman, right? Hugh Jackman. I think Hugh Jackman is something like 6'3", and Wolverine in the comics by canon is 5'3". Like, Wolverine's like a tiny dude, like really tiny, and like jacked. So he's just this like round little thing, you know. But yeah, Hugh Jackman's a tall dude. But yeah, go check it out. And if you haven't, you won't be disappointed. All right, so 5 things that men do that males don't. This is in no particular order of importance, but this is just from a list of things that I talk to my clients about. And if you're looking for a free consultation, there's a link in the chat. Go to that, sign up. It's totally free. And we can talk about whatever your problems are and set you on a pathway to figuring out how to solve them. All right, so number 1 here is never qualifying for a woman. All right. So for those of you who don't understand what that means, like what does it mean to qualify for a woman? All right. So essentially, if you really don't understand it, to qualify for, well, anything really, right, is basically to see something that is an arena of authority that you want to get into, and you're trying to prove to them that you're good enough to mess around in that arena. Okay, whether it's some sort of competition of sports, where there's qualifications to get into that sport, whether it's to get into college and they're looking at your SATs or your portfolio or what have you, a job, looking at your resume, like those are all qualifying setups. And males who prioritize women and they hold them over their head and they think that they're very special just because they're pretty, they tend to put themselves into a position of wanting to qualify for the woman. And it comes off as usually being fairly romantic. Like it's never anything that's terrible. It's not bad behavior or anything like that. At least by general social standards, taking her out a lot, spending a little extra on your wardrobe to impress her, trying to think of extravagant dates or just going over the top in any sort of way. And even before the guy is actually interacting with a woman, he's doing these things like in his head. So it starts internally where he's qualifying for women conceptually, right? Like not even an actual woman that is in front of him. He's got a concept of women that he believes has some sort of standard, or he's extrapolated some kind of standard from, say, social media or YouTube or what have you. And he then makes himself try to meet what he thinks that standard is. And women, they're not privy to this, right? So this whole interaction is happening inside his own head, and which is entirely unfair to the woman. And then so like when she just doesn't like him for whatever reason, he gets upset because he feels that he's done all of these things to qualify for himself and believes he's done a good job, which I'm sure he has. And but it's completely illusory. And he's operating within some paradigm just that exists entirely in his own skull. And you see, men don't do this. Men have no concept or awareness of any of this stuff. They have no concept or awareness of the things that the male is aware of. Okay, or you can call him a nice guy, you can call him the simp, whatever you want to call him. All right, we'll just call them males. And you see, the man is not really paying attention to that stuff. He's not even rejecting it. Okay, so this is the thing. If you're aware of it and you say, hey, that's bullshit, and you start pushing it away, you're still acknowledging its existence. Men are so into just what they need and what they desire that they're not even aware of anything to push away, because that's all they're focused on. You see? It's a strange thing. It's like you're not even really thinking about these things. Shout out to you guys in the chat. Daniel, Uncle Guns, salute to you. J98. Hey, been a while since I've seen you, or maybe I did see you recently. But and for those of you who are not in the chat, thank you for stopping through. So men, they never qualify for women because it's just simply not on the radar. Like it doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist to him. And it's going to be hard because at first, like, yes, you guys are going to hear me and be like, okay, yeah, I want to be like that. Right? Like, yeah, I want to not qualify for women. I don't even want their desires or their preferences or their goals on my mind at all. And you're going to work hard to try to push them out of your mind, which in turn actually strengthens it, because that's just physics, right? What you push against is actually pushing back against you. That's just how reality works. So it's a letting go process that happens as a result of only focusing on what you want. Now, here's the rub. If you're affected by any sort of nice guy syndrome, which goes back into your childhood, where you're obsessed with pussy and obsessed with trying to get women and obsessed with trying to validate yourself for them, this is going to be a very difficult process for you. You're going to fail. And in your efforts to try to build up structures mentally to combat this stuff, no matter how strong you're doing it, and no matter how strong it appears to be, you're still operating from the fact that you're trying to resist all this bullshit. So really, it's just having better communication with yourself, which is what men do. Like one of the main tenets of manhood is having great communication with yourself from a very honest place. This is what sets you apart from the very beginning. From the most fundamental onset is having proper communication with yourself, having honest communication with yourself. That's where it's different, right? Males, they don't do that. They think they're communicating with themselves. They really do, but it's all bullshit because they haven't unraveled the characteristics and the behavior traits and the beliefs that they think are them. And it just becomes this roundabout circular process. It's really bad. That's why it's important to have somebody on the outside, aka a coach, a mentor, a relative, what have you, to point out these things. Okay? Because as Alan Watts says, it's like trying to touch your finger with the tip of the very same finger, or trying to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. It's impossible. All right? That's why there's, with schools of deep thought, there's always been a teacher to either show you what's going on or teach you lessons or riddles or give you a whack on the head, as the Rinzai school of Zen used to do. Or maybe they still do that. I don't know. But yeah, there's different ways to wake you up. There's two main schools of Zen. There's the Soto school and the Rinzai school. So the Soto school is the simplest, most refined, distilled version of Zen that you find in Japan. And it's really, really simple. Like there's not a whole lot of chanting. They don't get into deities and symbolism and all that shit. They really just sit. Like that's their main thing, is just sitting. And I think that's what Soto means. I think it means just sitting or something along those lines. Rinzai, they're the ones who are all about the koans and the riddles and things of that nature. Whacking a student with a stick to kind of wake them up and to produce try to produce what they call satori, which is instantaneous brief enlightenment. Right, those aha moments where you see reality, but you can't even really describe it, but you've just seen something. So my teacher was a mixture of the two, actually. He appreciated both schools, and so when I was living in the temple, he would have sessions where we would just sit for long periods of time in silent meditation, and then there were other times where he would fuck with our heads and try to get us to see things in different ways. The occasional whack with a stick. Yes, it was all out of love, though. No real pain. It's just just to get you to wake up. So never qualifying is really important, and it sounds simple. It really does, doesn't it? It sounds simple to just like not want to qualify for a woman, but it's so tied up in your self-concept that it's a lot harder to do, right? Because you actually have to address your self-concept first before you can actually address yourself properly, which would then allow you to completely dismantle the whole thing about needing to qualify for a woman. You can't start on the end of the qualifications and say, no, I'm not going to do that, because the I'm is all fucked up. You see the problem there? All right, number two. Number two, men seek respect. They don't seek love. And there's a couple reasons for this, okay? A couple reasons. So, one, respect is a really important thing. It's a really important thing to men. And it's nothing that has to do with your feelings. Nothing to do with your feelings, okay? Respect, and see, males fuck this up. Stop taking our fucking words, okay? You don't know what respect means. Respect is not based on how you feel. Get that through your head. I'll say it again. Respect has nothing to do with your feelings. It has to do with structure, right? An easy example to show this is by looking at the law. If you're out and about, we're just looking at this in a very basic manner, okay? You're driving, you run a red light and you're not wearing your seatbelt, okay? You're disrespecting the law. A police officer sees this, pulls you over, whether they're having a good day or a bad day, whether they, had their breakfast or not, or they woke up with a blowjob, it doesn't matter. They're going to issue you a ticket. You're going to have a citation for running a red light and for not wearing your seatbelt. We're talking in just very systematic, the very basic and ideal situation. Of course, we all know that cops bring their humanity into things and they're shitheads just like the rest of us. But in an ideal sense, the disrespect that happened was not to the cop. He's not going to get upset that you're not wearing your seatbelt and get all up in his fucking feelings. All right? Ideally. What happened was you disrespected the law. You broke the law. And say in the future when we have robot police, like they're going to be completely void of emotions. And they'll say, look, you aren't wearing your seatbelt, you ran the red light, here's your ticket, or here's your court date, whatever. And it's just cut and dry. That's what respect is about. So if you don't have any systems or rules that can be broken, then what are you upholding that you're calling respect? For the most part, when guys say that person over there or that woman disrespected me, what he's really saying is, you hurt my feelings. I'm upset with you. I'm angry. I'm in pain. I'm sad. And it doesn't sound very manly to say that sort of thing. So instead, he says, you disrespected me. When the truth is, he just has his feelings hurt, right? That's what's going on. Respect has to do with systems. It has to do with structure. That's how you uphold respect. So when you are seeking respect from someone, it means that you have a system. You've made it aware to the other person, right? Just as we are aware of the laws in our state or in our city or what have you. So that when you break them, you know you've broken the law. You know you've disrespected the system. And in the same situation, when you're dealing with a man, it's the same fucking thing. Same thing. All right? If my girl breaks a rule, I'm not going to get in my feelings over it. If it's, a little bit disrespectful or more disrespectful or whatever, it's nothing that's going to change my emotions, right? Why? Because I have a mountain mind. It doesn't get moved by a little woman who's doing a little scurrying about and fucking around with the rules. No. It's just the rules are broken. There's consequences. It's that simple. So the disrespect is not to me. It's to my system that I live in that is an extension of me, right? That's how it works. And so this is what I'm seeking. The thing about respect is that, over love, is that you can measure it. You can really see and measure when and how someone is respecting you and your system. Okay, when I say respecting you, I mean the systems by which you live and how they behave according to that. So this can be measured. And the thing is that I've noticed is that when you respect someone, when I think about it, like in your life, you're not going to fuck them over. I mean, think about like if you have someone in your life that you really respect, regardless of how you feel about them. You might like them, you might dislike them, you might be neutral about them, but you respect them. You're not going to screw them over. Now, how many people who have love for one another have fucked each other over? Countless times. I've fucked over people that I love. You have. And all those people have. All right? But we think that just because we love someone, that they're completely guarded from being harmed, psychologically, emotionally, physically, what have you, right? And this is just not true. People who have love for others fuck them over all the time. Happens day in and day out. Okay? But respect, you don't. That's the nature of respect. When you have it, you don't fuck with it. It's more powerful than love. Okay? Love is great. Okay? Don't get me wrong. All right? But the thing about love is that it's amorphous. It flows. It's creative. It has a bit of energy to it, or however you want to describe it. Okay? It's fantastic, and we as humans, we need it. All right? It's part of being human. It's part of the human condition, and it's part of how we connect. All right? So it's absolutely necessary. But to seek this out as a basis for your relationship or whatever you've got going on, this is not reliable. Having systems that generate respect is reliable. It's reliable. Love is not reliable. Okay? Now, like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't love. I love my woman to death. She's amazing. Okay? But it's like, okay, I recognize that. It's going to go over here, not out of sight, but just over here. And I've got respect in the front. Because that's what's going to uphold shit. That's going to uphold the system for which we both can thrive. Make sense? Now, the guys who seek love, all right, males, simps, nice guys, what have you, they are after love. Number one, they don't have respect. Okay, and this goes into one of the other items on the list here. They don't have respect because they're too focused on love, because they're too much in their feelings. They're seeking that validation. They're seeking the connection. Why? Because what was the thing that I mentioned before? One of the main things, like the most fundamental thing that a man has, is good communication with himself. That is the very beginnings of having love for oneself, having appreciation for oneself. It starts with honest communication with oneself. Okay? To get through your shit. So you're actually engaging with yourself on a very real level. This is important. Because if you're not, and your cup is lacking, it's kind of empty, then it makes sense that you would go after people and seeking them to give it to you. See, the respect structure you can create on your own, whether there's somebody there or not. It's just maintained. It's part of your self-concept, your belief structure, what we call in the academy your constitution. This gets created whether there's people there or not. Like, think about it. If say everybody in the United States just left, everyone, the Constitution would still remain because it doesn't require people in order to exist. It already exists. It's not like, oh, it's enacted because people are here. No, the people, they need it in order to be governed. But the governance system doesn't need the people. It just is. So, but with guys with the love thing going on, they need the other person there to supply them with all that shit, right? Otherwise, they'll get lonely, they'll self-criticize, they will get down on themselves, and they'll get hungry. They'll get hungry for that love. Why? Why do you suppose these guys are hungry for that love? And that goes into the other one that men do, which is self-respect over all else. See, and then I'll include self-love, okay? Because you can't have self-respect without loving yourself. So they go hand in hand. If you're supplying all these things on your own, then you don't need it from other people. All right. Now, if you're asking, well, how do I do that? How is that possible? It's a good question. It's a fantastic question. Like if you're having issues with self-respect and self-love, I understand. It's not an easy task to learn when you're first coming into communion with yourself. Okay, I get it. Because it's a process. It really is. It's a process to get through to the switch. Because I'll say this, it is just a switch. That's all it is. It's just a toggle switch, right? Toggle switches are like, what you have on your wall for your light, okay? Flips on, up, and flips off, down, okay? Or unless you're one of those weirdos who has it flipped around and like up is off. Like, what's up with those people? Just flip the fucking plate, dude. But anyways, so not the plate, but the underneath the plate. You got to unscrew the metal thing and rotate it and screw it back in. But anyways, I just can't stand that shit. Like down is off. Come on. So OCD. But the self-love and the self-respect go hand in hand for a man. And if you're supplying all of it for yourself, then you don't need it from other people. You don't need respect from other people. You don't need love from other people because you are literally full. You're full of self. You are full of yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're not hurting other people, there's nothing wrong with being full of self. Why wouldn't you want to be? It's a great place to be. Okay? And so men have self-respect. And you guys might think, well, I'm not going to let other people, speak poorly to me or behave poorly to me. And yeah, that's part of it. That's really part of it. But it starts at a step before that. Self-respect starts with the communication with the self. Okay? So do you talk to yourself poorly? Do you behave towards yourself poorly? Do you have shitty fucking habits? Right? Like, do you eat shit? Do you have destructive vices? All kinds of stuff. Right? Do you lie? Do you cheat? You steal? Do you manipulate people to get the things you want? Like all sorts of stuff. Okay. Now I'm not talking about getting on some fucking righteous high horse or whatever, but are you doing things in your life that don't sit right well with you and you're doing them anyways? Do you talk to yourself in a way that is wrong, but you continue to do it? Do you have habits and behaviors that are wrong, but you continue to do them? This is not having self-respect. Men have self-respect. Now, of course, it's not like you just wake up one day and you're like, okay, all of that's done, because our habits, our beliefs, our behaviors, and things like that, they're tied into things into our past and how we come to believe ourselves at that moment. So it's a process. All of these things are a process, okay? It's like the hero's journey. He goes on a journey to become a man. Okay, your journey is, and it's all representative, or symbolic, like all those stories, but it's internal. The journey is internal, but you have to make action. You have to be active with these things. All right, that's how this works. You have to take action, and it's funny because I've got a number of clients who, it blows my mind. They've been with me for months and still no action. And I'm not talking about going out and talking to women and all that shit, because they still do that because they're still fueled by nice guy syndrome. Okay. What I mean is they'll go into the library and watch 10 videos and be like, okay, coach, I'm done. I watched, a dozen videos, or watched 25 videos or whatever from the library. And I'm like, okay, cool. So give me a synopsis of numbers 7, 11, 12, 14, and 22. And then tell me how it has transformed your relationship to yourself, how it transformed you into your new self. And they're like, oh, okay, so now that you put it that way, I just kind of went through them and didn't really do anything with it. And it's because you can't force yourself. You can coerce, you can encourage, you can habitualize towards the path, towards the way, or along the way. But you cannot force yourself to get to a further place down the road than you are able. Right? Because our psychologies can only be pushed so far, right? Because we have to actually understand what's happening as it's happening, okay? If you shove too far, and this is one of the problems with psychedelics. I've done like tons of psychedelic drugs in my time, is that it shoves the mind so far down the path that your understanding can't catch up to it. Okay. Like even Bruce Lee, like, he said in his biography, like he used to hang out with like actors and shit like that. And, they do drugs, and he was exposed to marijuana. Right. And I think it was James Coburn that he was hanging out with. And he introduced him to marijuana, and he made some ganja tea for him to drink. All right. And he's like, here, try this out. And Bruce Lee got high on ganja tea, and he thought about it, and he's like, after it was done, he said, yeah, it's pretty good. Right. But the problem is that it gets you there too quickly, because that's only one aspect, right? That portion of the mind, that's only one aspect that's been slingshot forward. But the rest of your identity, the rest of your concept, your body, and everything else is still back where it was. And everything's not moving together in unison along the way. So he's like, yeah, it's good. I can see the potential. I can see why people like it, but it gets you there too quickly. And it's because not everything is coming with it. So just know that the path is long. It does take work, okay? But it's something you actually have to put into a practice, all right? Just watching some videos isn't going to do shit. Reading some books isn't going to do shit. You actually have to apply, right? Which means taking little bits that truly make sense. Just something very small. Maybe just saying no. So this is one of the things that I work early on with my clients. I tell them to pay attention to the no moments, right? And this is typically for guys who are in relationships. They have like a fucked up, they have a fucked up dichotomy that's going on in the relationship. Like there's no real leader. There's like, it's just messed up. And they're not voicing themselves. They're not voicing their opinions. They're not voicing their desires. They're really not kind of asserting themselves in any kind of way, or they'll be the will of the woman has been put on them, and in certain times they want to say no, but they don't. Okay, so I tell them, recognize the no moments. All you have to do is just start recognizing them. Don't do anything about it. Do nothing about it. But I want you to start paying attention to all the times that you want to say no, but you don't. Which is a first indication that you're disrespecting yourself. That you're not holding yourself to a higher esteem. Because you're doing something that you don't want to do. Why? Because you're afraid of confrontation. because you're afraid that she won't like you anymore, because you think it's easier just to please her and then everything can go back to normal and everything's cool. If you say no, you might get into an argument, she might break up with you, whatever, you might break up with her, maybe you won't get sex anymore, even though you don't get a whole lot of sex anyways. So he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll just avoid. Okay? That is a huge disservice to yourself. So I say, just recognize the no moments, just as a start. Then let your balls drop a little bit and occasionally learn to say no. Honey, will you take out the trash now? No, I'm busy. I'll take care of it in 15 minutes. Right? Just very simple. And they'll be so fucking scared to say that. So scared. And then it'll come to me and say, oh man, I was really scared to do that. Okay, let's explore why you were scared. What do you think was going to happen? She's going to like pull out a crowbar and bash your skull in? Like what's going on? Like what's to be afraid of? And we start digging around in there. But the point is, the reason why I brought that up was it's a small thing to say no. And it's a fairly easy thing for most people to put into practice. So instead of filling yourself up with all of this shit about manhood and thinking it's doing something when it's actually not, pick a couple of things. Start taking notes of the things that you're learning or that you're being exposed to, rather. Say on YouTube, this channel, other channels you watch, books you read, things of that nature, maybe workshops you attend. Start taking notes, right? And then pick out certain things that you think are doable. Just a couple. And then try to put them, no, don't try. Then put them into action. All right? Just a little bit at a time until that becomes habitual. Then you start adding other things. Okay? And then after a while, you'll turn around and go, hey, I'm kind of different now. Like you can notice yourself changing. Okay? Now, if you're sitting there looking at women, worrying about what they're doing, listening to their preferences, listening to their desires, like fawning over pussy, looking at, oh my gosh, her titties look so nice. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty in the face. Like, oh, I just want to smell her hair and squeeze her body and fuck her tits, or like whatever crazy shit goes through your head. You're never going to get there. Never, ever. And I even had guys like this recent guy. He's trying to find a loophole where he can maintain this insane hunger for women and still move along the path of men. You can't do it. It's impossible. It's like trying to sit and stand at the same time. You can't do it. And he didn't understand until I said to the point where he got it. And I said, listen, it doesn't mean you don't appreciate women anymore. You're just not fucking led by them, by the concept you have of them, by your hunger for them. You're led by something else, much more important. Okay? All right, so that's the third one. All right, self-respect over all else. Another thing that, and this goes in with the self-respect and seeking respect and all that stuff. The fourth one is men check women's behavior. All right? Males do not do this. They're so afraid of checking a woman's behavior. And I know why. And like, I understand that it can be scary, right? To hold up your own boundaries. Okay. And checking behavior is basically letting someone know that how they're speaking or what they're doing is not allowed, at least to you, right? They can be free when it's regarding other people, but when it comes to you, this particular behavior or these particular words are not allowed. And that's something that males are deathly afraid of. All right. And this is because, again, like it's linked to all this stuff, is that they're just so afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of not being loved. Oh, that goes all the way back to the beginning, right? When I was talking about seeking respect and that love because you have full love for yourself. So if you've got full love for yourself, then there's no room to fear of someone else not loving you. So that's a great indicator. If you are afraid of losing the love that you get from another person, it shows that you are lacking, to a certain extent, love for yourself. Because if it was full, whatever they're giving you is just simply extra on the top. That's all it is. So know that. So men who have this, there's absolutely no fear in checking a woman's behavior, because that's how the respect is upheld in many instances. That because it lets them know this is the police officer pulling the person over and giving them a ticket for not wearing their seatbelt. Right? If the cop was afraid of this interaction, like, oh my gosh, are they going to get upset? Like, what if they start crying? What if they yell at me? I don't know if I should issue this ticket. Geez, what's going to happen? Like, that'd be weird, right? No, he just marches up, flips over his pad, license, registration, please. You realize you're not wearing your seatbelt? Well, you do now. Here's a ticket. Right? So it's as simple as that. It's checking the behavior. Okay? And there's something within males, and it goes very deep. We're not going to start picking it apart. You guys know a lot of this shit anyways, because I talk about it all the time. But only because it's just so pervasive. This has got to be the most widespread disease on the planet. It really does. But when it comes to men, there really is no fear for checking. There really isn't. Because what's going to happen? Like, all you're doing is making sure that you're upholding those boundaries. That's all it is. Excuse me for just 1 second. All right. Yeah. All right. Excuse me. Pardon me for that. So yeah, it's about the checking. So, men will really have no qualms at all. And something that's behind that is never fearing of losing her. So just know that if you have fear of losing the woman that's in your life, whether you've known her for a couple of days or some weeks or months or years, well, you've got a problem, right? And it's not her. The problem lies within yourself. So just know that. Okay. Last one, that I'll just check these comments here if there's any questions or what have you. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat, please. And so the last one that men do, of the 5, there's a lot more, but last one here on this list is having a system and awareness of progress. Okay. And this ties in with the whole love respect thing. Okay. So males, they will not have an awareness or a system of progress, because males judge progress based upon how they're feeling that day. If they're feeling good, then their relationship is in good standing. Okay? If they're feeling bad, then their relationship is in bad standing. Now, this is relationship, whether it's a day, weeks, months, years, what have you. Okay? But they base it around how they feel. Or Also considering how the woman is feeling. That's a terrible, terrible way to measure the strength and health of a relationship. Because as we all know, emotions travel up and down, in and out. They move constantly, and sometimes they sit dead in the water. They're not reliable. But since males, nice guys, simps, they're always looking in that emotional place. They're looking for the validation. They're looking for those positive things. They're looking for the, what do you guys call it? The choosing signals. And they look for choosing signals even though they're in relationships. They're still looking for choosing signals because they've not given up their habit of rejecting themselves. So even in the relationship, they're still looking for acceptance, even though they've been with her for fucking 10 months. Or she's been with him, right? Well, he's with her. Women are with men. So he's still looking for it. And the thing is that you cannot do progress based on how you feel, because it's going to change from day to day. All right? Men have systems of measurement, respect being part of that you can measure the progress and you can monitor the health and vitality of your relationship more easily. All right? So look at it in terms of, like, say, a business. All right? The business has a lot of data, right? There's a lot of things within a business, and depending on the size of the business, that you can look at to track the health and vitality of that business, right? Tons of data. Now, the people who are in that business, the employees, the owners, and so on and so forth, all the different positions, they have good days, they have bad days, they have neutral days. Doesn't change how that business works. So they have a bad day, they come in and they do their job. They have a good day, they come in and they do their job. They have a neutral day, they come in, they do their job. And so if you were to look at the trajectory over a year of, let's say, a well-functioning, profitable business, right? You'll see some ups and downs or whatever, but it's making a constant upward flow, all right? The trajectory is still going up, but it's going up and down as it's going there. If you were to then overlay, say, the emotional fluctuations of the people who are in that business, it's going to be all over the fucking place. And it's not going to be in line with the trajectory of the business. So you see, it's like that. When you have a system by which you can create the health and vitality of an organization or a team or a relationship or a business, you have ways that you can make it grow, regardless of how people are feeling in that day or that day or that day or that day. Because these things are going to change. Some days in your relationship, you're going to feel great. Some days you're not going to feel so great. Some days you're going to be a little confused. Some days you're going to have to sit back and think about it and analyze. But if you're looking at it and say you're having, a bad day or whatever, but you're looking at the structure of the relationship, are the rules still being maintained? Are people still doing what they need to do? If yes, and you're upholding these things, then the health and vitality of the relationship is still good. Males, on the other hand, they're looking at things through the lens of their emotions. So if they're feeling bad, the relationship is shit. If they're feeling good, the relationship is great. It's like, well, no wonder fucking breakups happen all the time. No wonder divorce rates are so common. It's like there's no organization. It doesn't make any sense. So, but it's all ties in. I hope that going through these 5, you can see that they're all interrelated. They're all part of like a similar web where they're all connected. All right. And this is, it's really important that you consider these things. Right. So if you have to go back, take a couple notes or what have you, then that's what you got to do. All right. Let's see. Go back in here. All right. Ali Magnifico. Love that name. Ali Magnifico. Yeah. Just checking some of these comments here. By Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is the only actor in history named Hugh Jackman that plays a huge jacked man. Okay. Good one. Yes. Yeah, number 1, never qualify for a woman. Number 2, men seek respect and not love. Number 3, checking her behavior. Number 4, self-respect over all else. Number 5, having a system or awareness of progress. So yeah. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Guns, yeah, thank you for this. All right. Enrique Luna. Yep. Number 3. Well, no, that wasn't it, but that was an example of like not being able to say no. Checking her behavior. Yep. Number 4, checking her behavior. Daniel with the questions. I have a recent epiphany where if I focus on my happiness instead of pussy, I reach the highest vibrations that I possibly have. What do you mean vibrations? You know, some of those have a remote control. I'm just fucking with you. Manhood is void of women. Do you agree? I think you're playing around with concepts. You know, but because here's the thing, you might want to look into Buddhism a little bit. You know, I'm biased, but even when you're seeking happiness, you're still going to suffer, because when it goes away, you're gonna be depressed. They talk about the middle way. Okay. Buddhism often talks about the middle way. And a symbol that they use for this is a stick of lit incense. Okay. And incense is very interesting because it's not out, right? It's not smoking and out. And it's not on fire either. It's got a little cherry. It's smoldering. Okay. And it's very symbolic to smolder. Smolder in the middle. You're not moving this way or that. Okay. Another example is the tennis player. The most advantageous position for a tennis player is to be in the middle of the court. And the job of your opponent is to get you racing back and forth, end to end to end, to create openings to then score. Okay? It's most advantageous to be in the middle, to be unmoved, right? The mountain mind. All these things are connected, right? So, the stillness that I speak of. So even in happiness, you're not still, because you'll be pulled up, and then once that goes away, and it will, you'll drop. Okay? Now, that's not to say that you'll never be happy or to never have happy moments or sad moments or anything like that. The difference is in attaching to them. So no matter what you attach to, whether it's your depression that you're holding on to because it hurts so good, or the happy moments because you don't want them to go away, it's your grasping that's going to make you suffer, not really the thing itself. So when you grasp it, it carries you up with that happy moment, okay? Or you grasp it and it pulls you down, okay? If you don't grasp, you can experience all the myriad of things that happen in life, but it doesn't take you there with it. Hope that makes sense. So you should focus on stillness, not happiness or sadness or pussy, right? The mountain mind. And I don't know what you mean by highest vibrations, right? But I do have a vibrating butt plug that has a remote control for my woman, and that's quite fun. That sometimes brings me happiness, and her. All right. Yes, if you have a question, put it in the chat. Have an awareness and a system of progress. Thank you, Enrique Luna. I hope that's your last name for real. Luna, that's a cool last name. Yep. Okay. Yes, thank you. And Bill Pert. You're right, Justin. Yes, I know. Yes, this episode has been brought to you by knowing that I'm right. Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool last name. But yeah, so I hope that this stuff was helpful for you guys. And I hope that it allowed you to see that the way is not linear. Like it's often talked about as like the way or the path, the road, the pathway, the journey. And we think of these things in like a linear fashion, right? Where we're going down a road and we're really not. It's hard to describe, but it's something that happens in a multifaceted way, in little bits, little layers, and each facet is sort of growing upon one another, while at the same time you're taking apart facets, right? And so this is really important to understand, right? Because, you know, like with my guys who thought that they could become a man by watching all of my videos in the library in 2 days, thinking that that's going to help anything. It's not. I was basically like, dude, you just wasted like a fuck ton of time. Like, what did you get from that? From just blasting through all of my videos. What did that do? You're still you. You're just you who's just lost a whole bunch of hours, right? Much more productive to watch one and try to take that with you and put it into action. And like really do it over and over and over and over again. Okay? So, the only time I reached my happiest moments where it was absent of women, and yes, when I let them go. How do I do that consistently? I don't know, just stop thinking about it. I don't know. Like, I really don't understand. Do you know what would help? Okay, here's something that will help is social media. Okay. So we all know like how the algorithm works, like and advertising, like web advertising. Get pop-up blockers for one, like put pop-up blockers and ad blockers on all your shit. Okay. And stop searching for certain things. Stop pausing on things that have anything to do with women. Right? So if you're going through, say, your Instagram feed or whatever, don't stop and look or click or anything on anything that has like an attractive woman. Okay. And then over time, when you press like the little looking glass part of Instagram, the images that they show you is going to change. Right. So like mine is full of motorcycle shit, tattoos, and cool fucking robots. Right, because I'm always like looking at illustration and sci-fi stuff. So like there's no titties in there. There's no hot chicks. And if it is, it's like associated with the art or whatever, like maybe some anime. But it's not like a real woman with her boobs out or some bikini or lingerie or what have you. Okay. So you can make the algorithm change so you're not getting this constant subconscious or feed to your subconscious. All right. So that would help. All right. But because honestly, it's like you have to take control of your brain. That's what this is. You have to take control of it. And so part of the letting go process is preventing things coming in to alter your thinking patterns on a subconscious level. All right. So just like stop looking at hot women. Like, who gives a fuck? They're not even hot, right? So, what makes a woman hot? Tell me what you think. What makes a woman hot? Anybody? I think Guns knows. Anybody have any idea what makes a woman hot? Her ears. Yeah, to a degree. Her ears. Yeah, to a degree. No, it's compliance. Compliance has to be, yes, Enrique. Compliance has to be the sexiest fucking thing a woman can do. And because like imagine like who's like see, I don't even know, like I don't even know like who are like hot actresses. Okay, so they're saying here, I don't know, Google's saying Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Lawrence, Natalie Portman, Emma Stone. I don't think that's current. Margot Robbie. Actually, my girlfriend looks like Margot Robbie. Or Robbie. Selena Gomez. Gal Gadot. Right? Like, imagine these women, right? Gal Gadot, she's pretty hot. Imagine her just saying no all the time. They're like, hey, come on, I planned a day at the beach. Grab your bag, throw some snacks and some get some Prosecco, some water, some fresh fruit, cheese. Throw it in a bag. I'm going to go round up the car, meet me downstairs. We're going to go to the beach for a few hours. And she's like, no, I'm doing my nails. Like, attraction just like goes into the fucking dirt. Right? And then you have like, I don't know, like an average looking girl, like not so hot. Like, who's that one chick? She played in the show, Zoe. I always find her to be just very this is white chick. Her name's Zoe something. She was on a sitcom. Not Zoe Saldana. But anyways, she's this white girl. She's like very average, you know, and she played it on this TV show. But see, it's average chick, you know, moderate good looks. And you do that, and she just hops up, smile on her face, clicks her heels, and she's like off, like running into the kitchen, grabbing that beach bag, tossing all kinds of stuff in there. She's got the, you know, the cool packs to keep everything nice and cool. You know, she's like on it while you go and grab the car and bring it around. Like, that is so fucking hot, right? It's so fucking hot. You know, my girl, she spent the day at the beach. You know, speaking of the beach, spent the day at the beach, and I said, "What are you up to?" She's like, "Oh, I'm feeling pretty lazy." I said, "Well, does that imply that you have things that you need to do that you should be doing? Like, why do you feel lazy?" She's like, "Oh, I don't know. I need to take a shower." And I said, "So go take a shower." And she's playing around. She's like, "No, I don't wanna." Right? And I said, "Go take a shower or else." And like half joking, you know, it's like, I'm not going to punish her for not taking a shower, but you know, I put on like slight, you know, just like playful firmness. And she just replied, "Yes, sir." And it's so sexy. Like, hearing "yes, sir" is probably one of the most attractive things a woman can do. And "no," or "I don't wanna," are things that can drive down the appearance of someone like Gal Gadot instantly. Like, immediately she becomes vomit worthy, right? And like the average girl, she becomes stellar because she's got a smile on her face and she says, "Yes, sir," right? She has a little wiggle in her butt, right? Like, that's what makes a woman attractive. So stop looking at them. Makes sense, right? Stop looking at them, because what you see has zero relevance, right? If their behavior is what's important, then their appearance has zero relevance. Because of course, if you're going to be talking to a woman, by default, you're going to be attracted to her. You're not going to talk to a woman that you're not attracted to, right? And that has a range, right? There's going to be a range of what you find attractive, right? And that's how every person is, right? Every person on the planet, they have their own like little range of, and you can't really quantify it, but you have it, right? Then that's a given. So stop looking at women, all right? Stop giving a fuck of what they're doing online. Stop listening to them. Stop watching them. Stop paying attention to them. They're all fucking like GTA NPCs. That's all they are. They're GTA non-player characters. And it's until they have promoted themselves to show some sort of interest, enthusiasm, a little bit of proactiveness to be on your program in these little ways to show, hey, I'm interested in coming onto your thing. Like, let me see more. Let me hear more, right? And then you like show her a little more. And then you see if she adapts. And you're like, all right. Right? She's on board. That's great. Right? And then you show a little bit more. And she's enthusiasm. She does a thing. Reward her. You support the whole thing. And, now you have forward movement. You got progress. Right? Because you've got a program that can be measured. You're not in it for the love. You're in it for the respect. You're in it for the growth. Not for her fucking tits. Not for sticking your dick in her ass. Right? Those things will prevent you from actually creating something. It will prevent you from leading because all you're going to see is tits and ass. Nothing has ever been led via tits and ass. Nothing. The only thing that's been led are males. That's it. The only thing that's led by tits and ass are males. So you got to ask yourself, like, who do you want to be? You want to succumb to chasing pussy and becoming just a pussy puppet? That's what it is. All right. That's another great term. Males, nice guys, simps, and pussy puppets. So you want to be a pussy puppet, or do you want to be a man? Right? That's what it comes down to. So, hope you enjoyed the show. Woman isn't hot until I come home to the smell of, I thought this said toast, the smell of roast, vacuumed carpets, clean clothes, and her scrubbing the bathroom tile with enthusiasm. Well, if that's really what you want, you can create that. You absolutely can. With a lot of positive reinforcement. You can absolutely create that shit. See, this is the thing. A man, if you have a vision that's like realistic, like you're not talking about like you want a dragon to be living in your garage, right? If you have something that's realistic, it can be created. It absolutely can be created, right? Like think about it, like when Apple computers was being dreamed up, right? The dude was sitting in his fucking garage, tinkering around with this vision, but he had an idea. He had a vision. Was like, that's possible, and then it just kept going and going and going, right? Because if it's something realistic, right? Maybe it's out of your reach now, but it's certainly realistic. Like it is possible. So then it can be created. Absolutely. It's just knowing what you want, how it looks, and then knowing how you can create that, right? So it doesn't mean like, hey, bitch, go clean the fucking bathroom, right? There's ways to bring that into fruition without it being just so like, do the thing, right? There's ways to bring about, having a woman who enjoys cooking for you. Even if at first she didn't know how to cook or doesn't like cooking, right? There's many things in my life that I started that I was like, I kind of don't like this. But as I kept doing it, I started to see its relevance. I started to enjoy what it was, right? And then I just do it because I like it. And many of us have had that experience, right? So we know it's possible. If in the case that, say, she doesn't like to cook or she doesn't know how to cook, right? So just know, guns, that practically anything you want is within the realm of your creation. Bill Pert. I pick the average girl who listens and is cooperative. Yes. But you have to give her something to listen to, right? You have to give clear instructions. You have to know how to strengthen the listening, right? So, like I had a client, like he's just getting into this now in his relationship. And I'm really happy for this guy because him and his wife were like on the verge of divorce. And, we turned it around. And it first started with him just getting to know what the fuck it is that he wanted. Did he want to be divorced and like go to explore the women, or did he want to be married? Like, make a fucking decision. So he decided that he wanted to stay with his wife. I was like, good choice, because you've got a young daughter, right? Like, stick with your promises, your goals, and things of that nature. So he did, and things started shifting. Things started to turn the corner with his behavior and her behavior, and he's seeing now the link between his behavior and hers, the consistency and how she shows up, right? Like his consistency and how that's reflected in hers. So, and he was getting comfortable with giving commands and things of that nature, but he was forgetting to strengthen them with positive reinforcement. And I said, so like one of his things was to take his plate, like after eating dinner, for example. He was really into that. Like, I don't know why, but that's just one of the things he wanted. He's like, I want the woman to take my plate. And so she's been doing that, like consistency, a little bit begrudgingly. She was just like, why can't, he's a grown man, why can't he just take his own plate? But she did it anyways, right? Like, she loves him, even though they had like some rocky situation. But she was doing it anyways, because he's like, this is what I want. I need this in my life. This is what needs to happen. And I said, so what are you doing after that? He's like, nothing. I mean, I said, you're not even recognizing it. You're not acknowledging the fact that she's doing this. I said, so your goal is to have resentment? Is that it? Right? No, because if you don't have any sort of reinforcement, you're just going to have resentment. Okay? If you're at work, you're doing the thing and not a single person tells you good job, right? You're going to either grow detached and still do the thing, or you're going to grow resentment. Okay? But if people come along every so often, they recognize your efforts, they give you some sort of kudos, they give you some acknowledgement, maybe some kind of award, you get the picture on the wall that says Employee of the Week, whatever, I don't give a shit. That just, it gives you a perk up, right? And so I was like, no, you can't fucking do that. You can't just have her do the thing and then sit back like you're the fucking Captain Big Balls. You have to make her feel good about doing the thing that you want, so she wants to continue doing the thing, right? Because it's affecting her emotionally in a positive way. So he started doing that, and then I said, okay, after a certain period of time of her consistency, you then give her a stronger reward. Okay, so he chose to give her flowers, and I said, listen, when you give her flowers, sit her down, right, either next to you, or even better, have her sit on your lap. You look her in the eyes, and you address the exact thing that she's getting the flowers for, right? And say, look, you've been doing this thing. I've been watching you for the past couple of weeks, and you haven't missed a beat, and that is so fucking sexy. And for that, I got you this nice big bouquet of flowers just to show my appreciation and recognition of your efforts. And he did that, and she fucking melted. And now she wants to continue doing the thing, right? So leadership isn't just about, it's not a one-way street. It's not about just giving commands and receiving, right? You have to manage emotions. You have to manage perceptions. And if you're so fucking like, and then you know how that's going to translate? That's going to translate into her getting turned on and wanting to suck his dick after eating dinner. That's what that translates to. But if you're focused on that from the jump, how are you able to lead? Do you see the problem here? You're going to get all that stuff. as a result of her good feelings through your leadership. But if you're focused on the end thing, you're never going to get it. Unless you learn some like fucking manipulation tactics, PUA bullshit, and all that nonsense, right? And that's just learning skills that's like a means to an end. There's no growth in that, right? It doesn't actually cause any sort of deep conversion in the woman to get joy out of serving you. It doesn't. All you're doing is learning tactics and manipulation skills to get a woman's clothes off and allow you to put your pee-pee inside her. Like, that's not, I don't know. Like, there's like, that's so short-sighted. So short-sighted. Like, you have no idea. You have no idea. And Bill, I love your name because it's the name of one of my famous drummers, or one of my favorite drummers. Bill Peart. If you guys don't know who Bill Peart is, look him up. Not this Bill Peart, but the drummer Bill Peart. So, yeah. Yeah, don't be a pussy puppet. No doubt. Started bringing them up, but when I started watching Real Game of Theory, that's when I started to become too pussy obsessed. Do you believe that some coaches are sex obsessed, Mr. Justin? I don't know. I don't think about other coaches. I don't think about other men. I think about myself. That's not my business. It's the fact that I gave her tasks. I came home to them complete is hot to me. Absolutely. Yeah. Her following my leadership is sexy. Absolutely. It's like, it's no fucking joke. It's no, like, it's just like, that's a thing that's going to warm a man's heart. It really is. It really, really is. It's like, you think it's like through, see, they say like, oh, you can get to a man's heart through his stomach, but it's more fundamental than that. It's like, well, what produces the food? It's the listening, it's the following, it's the desire to serve, right? Happily. And that produces the food or the cleaning or the appearance or what have you, you know? But yeah, this is great. Guns, I don't know if this is hypothetical, you're in a relationship or whatever, but there's also appearance things that are really good. So like for example, my girlfriend, she is to always be wearing something appealing that's like sexually appealing to me, but also easy access, right? So yeah, once in a while it's cool if like, I see her and she's wearing some kind of like complicated lingerie or some sort of like BDSM like bondage outfit or whatever. Like that's fun and all, but I like something that's got easy access that I know is comfortable for her, because if she's comfortable and feeling sexy, then that's going to be much more progressive sexually should I want to use her body for whatever reason. But yeah, appearance is also good, or like how you wish to be greeted. I had a guy who he wanted to be greeted at the door when he came home from work. And, because his wife worked from home. And then by the time he got home, she was like kicked up on the couch wearing scruffy fucking sweatpants, an old baggy t-shirt. She's like splayed out on the couch, like thumbing through her phone. And he's like, I was never greeted or anything. I said, so how do you want to be greeted? Like, envision it, right? Imagine I'm a genie and I snap my fingers and you could have any sort of greeting from your wife that you want. What would it look like? And it was like fucking pulling teeth with this guy. It was ridiculous, right? He was like such a pussy about his own desires, like just thoughts. He was a pussy about having thoughts. It was crazy. Anyways, so we finally figured out what it is that he wanted in terms of his greeting. And I said, all right, now have the fucking balls to tell her how you wish to be greeted when you come home. Because sometimes he works in the office, sometimes he works from home. So he finally got it out to her. And lo and behold, she showed up exactly the way he wanted her to on the days that he was working in the office. And it's like, and then that changed within him, like that warmed his heart. And then now he was more enthusiastic about giving back to her, right? So it becomes a synergistic thing, right? It's really great. But again, if you're too focused about getting fucking pussy, you're not going to be able to create anything. Your sight is stuck at fucking 5 feet in front of you. You cannot even see past that. Okay? Yes, exactly. Once I get my finances right and get out of this debt, I'm going to get some coaching. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, do it. There's I forget who wrote the book, but he has this thing called the snowball method. So look into that. Bill, a friend of mine, he's like really, really into finances. Like he was like crazy in debt, and he got himself and his wife out of debt in like 2 years, and they were in over their heads a lot. So I don't remember who wrote the book, but just note the snowball method. And he's got like was it Dave Ramsey? Is that who it is? Yeah. So, but yeah, the snowball method. And he said he followed it to a T, and boom, like he and his wife got out of debt. It was, it's crazy helpful. Yeah. Okay. Here. Familiar friend, book, localization, YouTube channel. Yeah. All right. Yeah, no sweat. No sweat, Bill. Yep. I'd be happy to have you. And you can always sign up for, like, in the chat here, there is a link to have a free consultation. So if you just want to connect and chat, and we can just have that going on whenever you want, just to hit my calendar up. That has made more millionaires than anyone in finance history. Ah, very good. Cool. Yep, I'll check that out myself. More so like management. I'm not really in debt, but management is certainly something that I need to learn more of. Absolutely. But yeah, this has been a pretty productive show. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and yeah, I think I'll come up with some other ones. So I think having a list for you guys is helpful. So if there's not anything else, if you have any questions, you can email me at justin@thedominancecademy.com. Go to the website, thedominancecademy.com. And while you're there, you can check out coaching options. You can check out the ebooks that I have for sale. I've got one that's free. You can download that for free. There's 2 paid ones. Check out the new one. It's called How to Be a Fantastic Lover. It's a couple of my clients have bought it and they're putting it to use. I'm going to get reviews from them. And they said what I said. The pussy eating section is fucking golden. I'm telling you. And it's like way less technique than you think. Way less. And whatever woman you're going down on, make sure she's clean or she's your woman or whatever. But she's not going to hit her. And you don't really have to do much. And you really don't. It's funny. Like, guys think that, like, for women's pleasure, you got to do all this crazy shit. You don't. Like, physically, you don't. Right? Mentally, you do. And there's absolutely sections in there about how to talk to her and weave the mind and have that sort of, edging and interplay with her emotional mind as it relates to her arousal. So if you want to learn all that cool shit, by all means, download that book and put it into practice. Absolutely. Cool. All right, guys, thank you for stopping through. Thank you for being here to support the show. And I appreciate you guys who are watching this on the replay. And until next time, we'll see you again.